Hey, hi, and welcome to A Taste of Fusion. Today, for our appetizer, I'm making a glorious little fusion piece of mutabbal, aubergine pate, and palak paneer or spinach with cottage cheese. For my main course, it's a steak, but it's not any ordinary steak. It's a baked steak. And for dessert, a glorious little fusion piece of cottage cheese and plums coming together in a little cheesecake. But now, it's time to go pick up my veg, get back to the kitchen, and get fusing. Right, we are ready to get started, and I'm doing everything topsy-turvy. I'm starting off with dessert, which today is my glorious fusion plum cheesecake. Now, to get started, I need a pan. I've got a deep pan over here, which I'm going to get on a medium-high flame. And into this, I'm going to put half a pat of butter. That's about 200 grams. Just melt it all in. But don't cook the butter because you don't want it to become brown. Once your butter is completely melted, grab some biscuit crumb. Now I've got some plain digestive crumb that I've got going here, and that's about 500 grams of that. Taking my pan off the heat, I'm just going to mix all of this in before the butter congeals. Now I just want the warm butter to sift through the biscuit crumb without cooking it. Right, once this is completely mixed in, we need to get a little baking dish. And I've got over here a 9-inch wide baking dish with a loose cover, so it'll come off in the end. Now I'm just going to fill my biscuit crumb into the base, like so. Once most of the biscuit crumb is in, just use your spoon and spread it out evenly, mashing it down so the biscuit breaks and becomes one unified form. Once the biscuit crumb has been evenly dispersed, just leave it aside to rest, because now you've got to move on to the next bit. Okay, for step number 2, again, now I've got another frying pan on a medium heat, into which I'm going to pour in half a packet of fresh cream. To this, I'm going to add about a quarter packet of cream cheese. Now this is just plain old cream cheese. You can get it anywhere. And I'm just going to mix it in. I'm not going to, cook the milk or let it bubble too much. I just want to heat it up. Now, whilst the cream is getting hot, I'm going to put in about 6 tablespoons of sugar. Now, plain white sugar. And I'm going to mix this all in. I'm going to keep it slightly lifted off the flame so my cream doesn't separate. Once the sugar is almost blended, I'm going to add in the rest of the packet to bring everything together in that final culmination point. Right, mix it in. Okay, I'm going to turn off the heat. Now, step number 3. I'm going to grab a bowl in which this cream will go. Place this to the side. Now gently pour in the cream mixture into this bowl. Now it's slightly granulated, it's a sugar syrup almost, but you're going to whisk all this together, so don't worry. Okay, now I have some paneer, some fat-free cottage cheese over here, and I'm going to put in about 4 large tablespoons of that, and I'm going to use my spoon and I'm going to blend it together. Now to this, a little fusion, what am I going to do? I'm going to put in 2 pinches of coriander powder. And this is because with the sugar, it's going to act as a catalyst for what is going to be our additive or our fruit into this. And today I have some glorious plums, which I am not cooking. I'm not, adding anything to them. I'm just putting in the coriander, and I'm going to put in 4 tablespoons of plums that I've just chopped. Now, very quickly, to this, I'm going to put in 1.5 teaspoons of gelatin powder, because I need this to all hold together, which it won't without the gelatin, because we're not cooking it in the oven, you see. All right, so we've mixed all of this in. Right, so everything's mixed together. Now, all we have to do is pour it into our base gently. Make sure it's evenly spread out and all the plums are moved around. And that's it. This has to go into the fridge for a good couple of hours to set properly, and you are ready to serve. Okay, now for our main course, which is my fusion take on steak, a baked steak. Now, what goes into a baked steak, pray, you might ask? Well, first of all, we have some fabulous undercut or entrecote steaks over here, which I've cut. I've kept them quite thick, about 2 inches, so they're nice hefty weight, and I want that to come through because I'm going to bake them. So I'm going to take a couple, take 4 precisely, and pop them into this bowl. Okay, now into this, half teaspoon of red chili powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of coriander powder, quarter teaspoon of turmeric, just for the color, and that's it for the moment. Next, I'm going to take some of these fantastic fiery green chilies, and I'm going to chop them up. Just a couple should do, because they're quite hot. Make sure everything is coated well. Once all the spices are evenly absorbed in by the meat, I'm going to put in a little bit of plum juice because A, that's a lot of fusion, and secondly, instead of using vinegar or some lemon or another acetate, I'm going to use the plums and their fruit juice to cook the steak in. So about 6 tablespoons of plum juice. Mix that up. Right, so once that's mixed up, I'm just going to put this to the side and let this marinade sit for a while I prepare its baking pods or the papillotes, because we're going to do this in foil or in a parcel. So I've got 4 pieces of foil here, and onto each parcel I'm going to sort of put in a bed of ginger that I finely sliced. Not too much, just a little bit. Right, next, I've sliced up some garlic in sort of like little strips or shreds. Again, just a little bit, not too much, because the garlic won't cook that quickly and it'll leave its pungency, so you've got to be careful. So a couple of shavings of garlic on each, and then some glorious mushrooms. And these are just plain old button mushrooms, but you get them fresh from your grocer and they'll be fabulous in your little parcels. All right, so got a little bit of mushrooms going. Right, then on top of these, just a squirt of a little lemon juice, because this will help start cooking them before they even go into the oven, because of course lemon juice is an acidulant and it helps cook garlic and it helps cook ginger as well. Next, I've got some olive oil here, and I'm just going to dress these. Just a little drizzle. Okay, and now we are ready for the last stage. What I have to do is I have to sear these steaks or seal in all the flavors. So for that, I have got me here a handy frying pan, and I'm going to put this on a medium heat. Now, instead of using olive oil, because I want to sear in all the flavors and create a smokiness to it, I'm going to use a little bit of butter. Just about a tablespoon's worth of, put that into my pan and just spread it around. Not so much that it covers the entire pan, you just need it to sear in and brown the meat. So now I've got my steaks in the frying pan. I've reserved some of the juices that were left. I've kept them in the bowl. I'm not putting in everything straight in. I just want to sear or slightly golden brown the edges so the flavors don't release out of the meat, and the meat, when it's cooking in the oven, releases its flavors over a longer period of time. Now, traditionally, I cook this steak from between 3 to 12 minutes, depending on how I wanted to eat it, whether it was rare, medium rare, etc. I'm simply going to sear it, so therefore 1 or 2 minutes on each side. Just all the flavors come out. You've got this juice going over here. And voila, turn the heat off, bring your pan over. Now I'm just going to take each steak and place it on top of my bed, like so. Then I'm going to take the juices, spoon a little bit over, and grab anything that's left in your bowl. Just use that and sort of spread that around evenly. Last step, I'm going to take a couple of plums and I'm just going to sort of put them on with the meat. And this will create a glorious, glorious sauce, and of course it'll look beautiful. Okay, now, last step. Just a dash of balsamic on each. And then a little wrapping. And that's it. Now these go into your oven for a good 12 to 15 minutes. Right, that's it. Our steaks are in the oven. They're going to be in there for a good 12 to 15 minutes. And now it's time to get started with our appetizer. Right, now to get started with our appetizer right at the end. Now, in our appetizer, I thought let me use what's in season, and what's in season are fabulous aubergines. Now, I've basically sort of peeled them and chopped them up. Now, aubergine, what comes to mind with that is mutabal, or an aubergine sauce that's used in Lebanese cooking. I wanted to fuse that with something that we have over here, which is spinach, and something that's quite English, spinach on toast. So it's a little mix, a fusion mix of Lebanese, English, and of course the poppy style itself. So before I carry on with my lecture, get my pan on a high flame. And into my pan, I'm going to pour in about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And whilst the oil is heating up, I'm going to put in about 1 teaspoon of sliced garlic. Now, as soon as garlic begins to sizzle, I'm going to take a little balsamic vinegar and just put in a drop, because I want the balsamic to caramelize garlic immediately. There we go. Next, I'm just going to put in the aubergine. And now I've got 2 large aubergines that I've chopped up. I'm just going to throw them straight in. Now, because aubergine is quite a sponge, it takes in the oil immediately. I'm going to sort of pan roast it a little bit before I put in a little bit more oil to lubricate the entire mixture. So, here we go. Now, from the top, a couple of dashes or lugs of olive oil. And the minute you smell the garlic browned, because you will get that immediate garlic taste, I'm going to put in about 4 chopped tomatoes. Stir that up. And turn the heat down slightly and squeeze in the juice of half a lemon. Now, we are going to add in more lemon as we go along, so just half a lemon to start off with. I'm going to use some coconut rice vinegar, and I'm going to pour that in, about 3 tablespoons worth of. As the aubergine starts cooking, it sort of, starts looking as though it's a soaked up potato. And at that point, you have to add in just a dash more oil. And once the tomatoes started breaking down, I'm going to put in my spices. And I'm going to do that with 1 teaspoon of salt to start off with, 3 whole red chili flakes, or whole red peppers basically, and an entire teaspoon of coriander seeds. Mix it up. Squeeze in the juice of another half lemon. Then I'm going to pour in about half a glass of water. I don't want the aubergine to cook in the water, that means boil. The water should just keep the spices from burning. So just let that absorb and let the water evaporate. At this point, the aubergine started looking as though it's breaking down and turning into a lovely gooey mass. Okay, so now that half glass of water is evaporated, I'm going to take the juice of quarter lemon. There we go. And then another 2 tablespoons of coconut rice vinegar. I'm going to cook this down and let the vinegar evaporate now. So, water is evaporated. Next, I'm going to put in about 4 spring onions that I've sliced up finely. In they go. I'm going to add in another lug of oil. In total, you're going to use about 8 tablespoons of oil in this entire dish. And then, at this stage, I'm going to add in some spinach. About 1 entire bunch of spinach, which I've taken the stalks off and just kept the leaves. And mix it in. And remember, spinach has its own water that it's going to release, so you've got to move quickly so your mixture does not burn. Add in a little coconut rice vinegar and let the spinach cook and break down. Final step, I'm going to put in half a packet of paneer or cottage cheese. Keep stirring, make sure all the cottage cheese is absorbed well. Put in the juice of a quarter lemon and about the final 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And right on top, at the end, I'm just going to sort of pour in a little balsamic vinegar. That's it. Heat off, put it aside, and now, how are you going to serve it? Very simply, you're going to serve it with little crostini or little pieces of fried bread. So, heavy flame, 10 tablespoons of normal oil, cooking oil. Here I have some pieces of white bread, basic bread that you have in your fridge. I've just cut the edges off and got lovely little crostini pieces. Pop the bread in. Now you just have to fry them up. It should take about precisely 2 to 3 minutes and you are done. And all you have to do then is plate up and serve. Right, we are ready to eat and I'm joined by the supremely talented Najib Bilgrami. He has just won an award for his movie Vaga at the Berlin Film Festival. Kudos, bravo, sir. As we were discussing, you really like aubergine, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Well, today you're in for, well, it's your lucky day, my friend.
This looks beautiful, by the way. It looks beautiful.
Poppy at her best, but come on, dig in. Just pick it up and go for it.
Wow.
What do you think?
No, seriously, this is like amazing.
Thank you.
Aubergine, but like it has French influence, Lebanese inspiration.
I'm not going to let you finish that. I'm going to let you eat that after because I want you to dig into your main course before it gets cold. Okay.
Mind if I just put myself?
It's basically a steak, but it's not been cooked in the way steak would be cooked. Go for it.
Absolutely fantastic.
Oh my God. Are you crying?
No, it's like usually when I'm a big steak lover.
Yeah.
I love wild mushroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is this has the flavor of a well done and a well cooked steak. It doesn't feel very heavy. It doesn't like it's so light and it's so. Can I?
Of course, carry on. And now the plum on top. That's where I've used fresh fruit.
Oh my
fresh
goodness.
plum, and I think he likes it a lot.
Because I stopped listening to you after I was cutting up like, what the hell? It's very well done. It's very nicely cooked. It's not very heavy. And then you take the plum, and then the story unfolds. The plot actually unfolds. Oh, seriously.
Thank you so much.
Very well done.
Thank you.
Very well done. Beautiful.
But wait till you eat dessert.
I can see what is this? What is this?
Plum.
Okay, it's plum.
It's all about
is
plum. Now I'm not. It's fresh and it's completely.
Okay.
Well, you give it a go and you tell me what you think.
I was surprised that it would be this cold.
Right.
And that was very good.
Right.
What is this?
You have to take a bigger bite, and only then when I tell you.
I can't tell you what. Okay, this is. It has cheese in it, cottage cheese.
Ah, it's our take. It's a fusion take on a cheesecake.
Very nice.
Do you love it or what?
Yes, I love it. I
Love it.
It was almost like a film. Like you start off with a smaller. It was like a Bond movie. Like there's a small adventure in the beginning, and the main plot, and then he gets the girl.
Oh, well, sir, I don't think I can say any more, but thank you so much for being so wonderful. If you want to see me fuse something or have any comments, write in on fusion@dawnnews.tv. From Najib and myself, Take care, baby. Okay, come on, let's run.